City News is brought to you by East Brewster Lawyers Rotorua, celebrating 100 years of legal excellence and innovation.
Good evening, Rotorua. Tonight on City News. Local MP Todd McClay is calling for Rotorua's forestry sector to have their say in an industry-led inquiry into forestry safety. Plans for Waitangi Day celebrations are coming together for organisers at Whakarewarewa Village, and Sport Bay of Plenty's Bikewise Month kicks off next week. Local MP Todd McClay is calling for Rotorua's forestry sector to have their say in an industry-led inquiry into forestry safety. Mr McClay says an industry-led inquiry into forestry safety is a positive step forward for the forestry sector. He says the government has taken steps to improve safety standards in the sector. However, it is clear that a collaborative approach with industry is needed. He says as the local MP, he's engaged with both the Minister of Labour, Simon Bridges, and Rotorua's forestry operators as the inquiry is carried out. Plans for Waitangi Day celebrations are coming together for organisers at Whakarewarewa Village. Business Development Administrator Jarvis Davis says many cultures will be celebrated at next Thursday's event.
This year, Whakarewarewa Village Charitable Trust is celebrating the cultures of the world. The past 7 years, we've celebrated different continents around the world. So this year, rather than choosing one specific, we've decided to celebrate the whole lot.
Well, one big bang, does everybody? Wow.
That's the one.
And the Waitangi holiday celebration is on next Thursday at Whakarewarewa Village. In sport tonight, Sport Bay of Plenty's Bikewise Month kicks off next week with events based around cycling. Bikewise Month also coincides with the 10-day Rotorua Bike Festival. Sport Bay of Plenty Recreation Advisor Melissa Gordon says there is plenty of organised cycling events on, so people of all skill levels can take part.
It is definitely one of our busiest months throughout the year. So we've got the Play in the Bay calendar, which comes out every month, and of course February is our bike month, so that's full of lots of give it a go activities for people to join in, especially for families, people that are new to activity, that sort of thing.
Meanwhile, Bike Festival organiser Kim McVicker says she's enjoyed putting the festival together for the first time this year.
Yes, this is my first year of organising it, so basically what my role is I oversee putting all the event organisers into different time slots, which makes the festival one whole. So we've got 31 events within 10 days, so a bit of a challenge, but making sure they all fit and everyone's happy with where they are is what it's all about.
So the build-up, I guess, to it is you're going to be pretty busy.
Yeah, we've had the last 3 months of meeting event organisers, making sure they're happy with what's going on, and they are happy, and they're all putting into a time slot that suits them, and it's all happening now, and so it's just increasing.
To your weather update now. Tonight will be fine with light winds and an overnight low of 14. Tomorrow, Friday, fine with southeast breezes, a high of 22 and a low of 13. And the outlook for Saturday, fine and cloudy periods with gusty southeasterlies, a high of 21 and a low of 13. And the marine forecast for Lake Rotorua, southeast 10 knots developing in the morning and then rising to 15 knots in the afternoon with waves less than half a metre. Remember, for program listings and other info or to upload images, check out our website tvrotorua.co.nz, or you can look us up on Facebook. Still to come in tonight's program, we're at the Resource Centre Open Day. We find out about plans for an exhibition to commemorate World War I at the museum, and RDC Road Safety Coordinator Nikki Carling has tips for getting kids to cycle to school.
We're down at the recycling centre today on Tino Road, and they're having a bit of an open day today with a free barbecue for the locals, and there's lots of kids around here and lots of adults, and we're going to catch up with people behind the scenes and a few of the kids to find out what they like about the recycling centre. So you guys had a good day out here at the recycling centre, Riley?
Yes.
Yeah. And why do you think recycling's important?
It keeps the earth clean and the water and all the environment for the birds.
And you learned that in here today? Yeah. How about you, Jay? What do you think recycling's important? And what do you do with your recycling at home?
At home we organise it into different groups, and then once a week we come to the recycling centre.
And you drop it off here with Mum?
Yeah.
Now, Mum didn't want to be on camera. Is she a bit shy?
Yeah.
Cool, thanks guys. Well, joining me now is the lady who is in charge of keeping our city beautiful, Rose Hiha-Agnew. Thanks for joining us today, Rose. Now, obviously, the recycling centre outfit here, it's a pretty amazing place for kids to come. Why are you having an open day?
We're having an open day because we've got so much information we can give to the public about why it is so good to recycle and what you can also prevent from going to our landfill. So all of your household rubbish can actually be taken here rather than sending it off to the dump.
Yeah. Now, this isn't open every day though, is it?
No, that's right. We generally only open to bookings, so we take through quite a lot of school groups that can range from years 1 to 6 primary school, intermediate and high schools.
And how many kids you had through today, Rose?
We've got quite a few families today. We did set this up especially to deal with school holidays, so get the families down, free sausage sizzle if you come through and bring the kids through to the resource centre.
And you've got some radio stations here, Classic Hits, so obviously you've got the local media here as well as us, so obviously it's a real community thing.
It's great. Rachel Sutton is from Classic Hits, and she's here just to entice everyone to get down, and we might have our mayor attend and also our local MP. So we have really good support, but it is about educating the public of why our in-town recycling is good. It does benefit the community because we also have very good contaminant-free product, which means a lot of the recycling bottles, aluminium cans, tins, products like that, they don't have food with it, so it's a cleaner product for us to resell.
And what are the kids' reactions when they walk through the door? Because I know when I first walked in here, I was like, wow, this is quite amazing. You know, guys put in a lot of effort to come up with the actual site. It's
very interactive, and you really need to engage kids today. They're very educated about global issues, environmental issues, and they also love the setup that we have here of how long does a product take to biodegrade. So you have 6 weeks, it can be paper. Then you ask them, how long does leather take to biodegrade down? And what is glass made from? And it really stumps not just the kids but the parents.
Yeah,
so
sure.
It's really good. Yeah.
Now I've noticed in a couple of the stalls over there that you push the button, the light comes on. So what's that about?
That's just about educating the students and also parents on how long does a product that potentially you can put to recycling instead of the landfill. So if we send, say, a milk bottle to the landfill, that can take up to 500 years to break down.
Wow.
And plastic bags. Now, that's a heck of a lot of time.
Yeah. Now, you're still relatively new to the job because you took over from Christine Findon, who was her main job to look after the city. So how are you doing? Are you enjoying it?
I really do love it, and people keep asking if I still love it, and I really do. A very privileged role. You get to meet community groups. Yesterday I was out with the Utahina school kids cleaning up around the mouth, going from the Utahina River through to the lake, and then today I'm at the recycling centre educating people, and it's very varied and a fantastic role.
Right, good stuff. Appreciate your time. Thank you, Rose.
Thank you.
Well, joining me now is a media partner in crime, Rachel Sutton from Classic Hits. Thanks for joining us today, Rachel.
No worries. I like how you said partner in crime there.
It's always good for local media to get behind events like this, you know, because it's obviously supporting the community. So why is Classic Hits down here today?
Well, we're just really proud to be a part of Keep Rotorua Beautiful, and also it's great that the community can come down, have a look, and the kids can see how, you know, what is involved with recycling and how it all works. And guess what? I've actually learnt something today.
Let me guess. Tell me.
Yes, the 3 R's: reduce, recycle, and reuse. But everyone can learn something down here today.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Now, as the kids have gone through, what have you noticed when they've walked through the doors? Because you've been out the front where we have. What have you noticed when they first walked in?
Pretty much that they're just amazed with how long certain things stick around for once they get recycled, and also the interactive part that they have in there. The kids love it. So they're learning and having fun at the same time.
True. All right, thanks for your time, Rachel. We'll let you get back to your sausage sizzle.
No worries.
Nice, thank you.
Thank you.
Did you know that this year is 100 years since World War I? And down here at the Rotorua Museum, part of their commemorations is that they're asking the community, that's you guys at home, to bring in any of their World War I memorabilia. And what they're going to be doing is putting it on display between the months of June and November. And we've got a good story for you today, so stay tuned. Well, joining me now is Chris Rapley. He's the registrar down here at the Rotorua Museum. Thanks for joining us today, Chris.
Good morning.
Now, like it says up there, the Great War, it's been 100 years since World War I.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, it's a significant time in our country and our history, especially here at the museum. So there's just let us know, I want to tell our audience at home what's going to be happening here at the museum.
Well, we're having a special exhibition where we're going to commemorate the beginning of World War I and just sort of acknowledge it with the community, where people are going to bring in their objects and actually loan them to the museum, and we're going to display them in a sort of wider context of the Great War as well. So it's a really exciting time for us because we're appealing out to the community and saying, what's out there, what stories have you got, which then we can bring into the museum and display to the community as a whole. So we're like a focal point, if you will, for the community to commemorate the beginning of the war.
I would guess there'll be probably half the stories, that the bits and pieces that come in, like the medals and maybe parts of the gun, but the stories that go with it. That's all part of it.
That's the thing. I mean, objects are interesting in their own right, but once you put on the layers of meaning with the stories and the context behind them, that's really what makes things come to life in a museum sort of environment. And so it's been an amazing process so far for me, because we've had a lot of objects come in already, just to know what's out there and the stories that the community are holding on to, because it was a wee bit of a leap of faith, I guess, for us to say what's out there, and the response has been fantastic. Cool. And there's so many people who are not only holding on to the objects, but holding on to the history behind the objects, and that's just been really amazing.
Now, you mentioned a few things that have come in already. What sort of objects have come in, Chris?
There's been some real amazing objects come in, actually. We had a Gallipoli bugle come in the weekend when we had our drop-in session, and to see that and to be holding on to the Gallipoli bugle, that's pretty special stuff.
There's some history in there, eh?
Oh, amazing. And some mounted rifles items. We had some trench art come in, which is objects made by soldiers during the war, sort of like on their downtime and what have you. So you're talking about a really wide spectrum of objects which are amazing in their own right, but then, like I said, the stories behind them just bring them to life for me. So it was like it's been like a trip to Disneyland sometimes with people bringing stuff in for me. Yeah.
Now, do the public need to ring and say, hey, Chris, I want to bring in an old medal or something, or do they just rock on up to the museum and
they can come to the museum and drop off a form. We're not actually taking in the objects at the moment. What we're doing is we're just gathering information to see what's out there. So they can come in and fill out a form at the front desk and leave it with the people there, and I'll be in touch with them. Or else they can go onto our website as well, is probably the first port of call for them, so they can just find out a wee bit of background of just how it works and how the dates work as well.
Cool. So once all this process is done of collecting things and people sending you photos or whatever, when's the actual date that people will be able to come in and open up to the public?
The opening date is the end of June for the exhibition, and it's going to go right through into November. So it's a really good time, which encompasses so many significant dates for New Zealand's military involvement in World War I.
Now, obviously, this is a big job for you. Do you have some sort of background in military history, or is this just something that you enjoy?
Sure. I can't remember not being sort of enamoured with military history. I did a BA at university which focused on military history, and then I ended up working at the National Army Museum in Rotorua for many years. So now I've come to Rotorua Museum. I've been here for about a year, and it's just amazing to have the opportunity for me to just do something I'm so interested in. So
Were you at Rotorua when all those medals got stolen a few years back?
I was, I'm afraid, yeah. So that was interesting times.
So is that something that people could bring in as their medals, and you could talk to them about that, and maybe show them how to keep them, especially here with all the sofa in Rotorua?
Yeah, certainly. So people can come in, and I can use some museum background techniques just to make sure that they're looking after their items correctly. Medals are quite sensitive to sulphur, like you said, so we have some ideas on just what to do with that, and also though all sorts of things, photograph albums, clothing, all those things. There's little techniques you can do just to make sure that you're looking after them correctly, and I'm more than happy to help.
Cool. What about things like uniforms? Because I know there's a few people out there, myself included, still got like their number 1 SD, uniforms. What about things like that where you want people to bring in their full kit?
Yeah, well, they can certainly bring that in, and we can have a look and see what sort of stories are associated with it. Looking after uniforms, it's quite easy to look after uniforms. Just make sure you're keeping them out of the sun. Keep them in a stable environment which isn't too damp, but it's not fluctuating too much. So it's just little tricks basically to make sure you're looking after your items well, so future generations can enjoy them and you can bring them into museums.
And like we said at the start of the story here, 100 years since the Great War. Have you had any involvement involvement, or is the RSA getting involved with you guys?
I've talked to the RSA, but no, they're not involved in this exhibition at the moment. But certainly it's cool we've got the community involvement as well. So imagine, World War I went for 4 years, so we've got 4 years of possible events or collaborations we could do. So maybe in the future we can tie in together with them.
Okay, we're almost out of time now, Chris. Now, what is the start date of the show, so people know to put it in their calendars and head on out here?
Okay, so the end of June is when the exhibition is going to open, and then it's going to go right through to the end of November. So there's plenty of time to come down to the Rotorua Museum and have a really good look at it. And I think we're going to have a few events. We're still working those out at the moment, but there's going to be some events as well that people can come along to as well.
Cool. I'm sure we'll get down here on the 20th of June. See you then.
Cool. More than welcome.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
Well, February is a big month here in our city. It's Bike Month, and there's lots of different activities and events happening all around the city. And with me today is Nikki Carley. Now, Nikki, you have to tell me the name or your title, because it's such a mouthful that I spend like half an hour trying to get it. So for our guests at home, what's your title here at the RDC?
Oh, my job is Transport Safety and Sustainability Coordinator.
That is a mouthful, isn't it?
It is, it is.
Now, you obviously got an important job, and like I said, it's Bike Month. So what sort of things is the RDC involved with this month?
RDC is very involved in promoting cycling during the month of February, and that includes a lot of community events, and also we have a big bike festival coming up right in the middle of February, which is being promoted by events and venues and a whole raft of other people.
And is there anything specifically that you're looking after?
I'm looking after Frocks on Bikes.
You have to tell our audience at home about that one.
Well, Frocks on Bikes is it's an opportunity to try and normalise cycling. So for those people who don't like dressing up in lycra and going super fast down the roads, it's a chance to take your time, to dress up pretty. And in this particular instance, we're having a cruise on the Lakeland Queen at the end of our cycle ride.
Nice. What some of our costumes were worn last year?
Just very nice costumes. The girls dress up in beautiful dresses and the boys dress up in beautiful dresses too.
Yeah, and they don't get caught in the chains or anything like that?
No. Lots of people have special bikes for the occasion, but you can ride any old bike and just tie your skirt up.
Yeah. Now, if someone's at home and wanting to do this, I don't know why you'd want to wear a frock on a bike, because I'm a cyclist and I know how hard that would be, but if someone's wanting to be involved, do they need to register, or can they just turn up on the day? And actually, what day is it?
16th of February, it's a Sunday. They can just turn up on the day, and we're meeting at the Tarawera Road end of Long Mile. Having said that, if you want to do the cruise, then you have to pre-book that. It's $10.
That's pretty cheap, isn't it?
Yeah, really good.
Nice
value.
feed after a big bike.
Yep.
Now, obviously, kids are now back at school, and safety on the roads is always an issue. So, what sort of things has the council been doing as of late to help, with the safety on the roads and getting the message out there to watch out for our kids?
We've got 2 promotions running at the moment. We have the Back to School campaign, which is what we run at the start of every single term, and that's really about, our kids are going to be back on the roads, walking or cycling. Be aware of them, be mindful of them. They can behave in a really unpredictable way. So it's a campaign for drivers. The other campaign we're running is a cycling-specific one, and that's the 1.5 metre campaign, which is really encouraging drivers to make sure that they give cyclists enough space when they're overtaking them, bearing in mind that cyclists are very close to the road edge. There can be drains, there can be glass, there can be all sorts of things that mean they might have to veer out. Just be aware of that and give them 1.5 metres.
There's been getting a lot of media coverage, not only in New Zealand, because I've seen stuff overseas as well, of drivers going past cyclists, and there's a little bit of give and take there. There needs to be tolerance on both sides, doesn't there?
At the end of the day, the word is respect. Cyclists are legally allowed to be on the road. They're not going to go away in a hurry. So as a driver, just be really respectful of their space on the road and make sure that you don't hurry past them, that you don't cram them into the side of the road.
Now, you bike quite regularly to work, don't you?
Yes, I do, like you do.
Now, have you had any bad experiences yourself?
I have the odd experience, and to be honest, it's not that the driver has deliberately gone out of their way to upset me, it's just that they don't see you. You can be wearing high-vis and everything else, but until we get a certain number of bikes on the roads, drivers just don't expect to see cyclists. And so you can be going around a roundabout and suddenly a car comes bearing down on you. Yeah.
Do you get many people ringing up the council and say, hey, look, I've had this encounter with an angry driver, can you guys do something about it? Do we need more cycle lanes in the city? Do you get calls like that very often?
I get a lot of calls, yeah. Because cycling is really a growing movement. As I said, it's not going to go away. And we really do need more people to write into council requesting facilities. But the best time to write in is when we go through our submissions process. So that's to the annual plan, which happens around June, July. Really important that people write in then and state what they want to see happening with their rates funding.
Do you ever think maybe in the future, like Amsterdam and places like in Denmark and Copenhagen, where they have dedicated cycle lanes right through the whole city, do you think that ever be a possibility for here in Rotorua?
I don't see why not. Obviously, it would take a lot of investing, and we're not quite at that stage yet, that sort of cycling culture that they have in places like Copenhagen and Amsterdam, but it's not to say it can't happen in the next few years, yeah. But once again, people need to write in and say that that's what they want to see happening.
Now, like I mentioned earlier in the story, Nikki, kids are back at school now. Is there any safety tips that parents need to know about sending their kids off to school on their new bikes if they're new to the roads?
Very definitely. Just remember your kids aren't bulletproof and that they are kids, and so they make decisions when they're cycling to school that they might not otherwise make if you were with them. If they are under 10, I would recommend that you do accompany them to school. The schools recommend that, and so do the police. And just make sure that you encourage them and you teach them really good road safety skills. So ride the route to school with them before you expect them to do it by themselves, and just make sure they're aware of their road rules.
Yeah, I know one of the things that I got taught when I was learning to ride a bike was to use my hand signals. Now, honestly, you don't see much that anymore, especially from adults. So maybe that could be something that needs to change as well?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's really important. I think as a user of the roads, cyclists have to take their responsibility of showing drivers what they're doing, not just suddenly swerving out in front of them and expecting drivers to stop. So, yes, be aware that you do need to use road rules. Yeah.
Well, I know February's going to be a busy month for you, Nikki, so I'll let you get back to work and we appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan.
And please do take extra care on our roads over the next couple of weeks as children get back to school and into travel routines. If you have any news or an event that TV Rotorua can support, you can call the station on 07 3488 984 or email news@tvrotorua.co.nz. You can also catch up with City News by visiting our website. Thanks for watching tonight. From all the team at City News, for Maria.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.
City News was brought to you by East Brewster Lawyers Rotorua, celebrating 100 years of legal excellence and innovation.